Hello the internet! I finally found some time for some speed test with this Milan SL. I'm sure you are eager to see the results already, but that's going to be a little bit later on this video. First I have to actually make the tests. So these are the same tests I've done before with the Quest and Quattrovelo. This first test is 45 km/h test. The test piece starts here. So on this road I try to ride this about 800 meter stretch at precisely 45 km/h and then see how much power did I use to keep that speed. Previously I've had two cameras mounted while doing this test, though on the first time I had my old cameras which were more aerodynamic than my new ones. But anyway, because I've had cameras before, I need to have cameras now so that the results will be comparable to the previous ones. And the test piece ends here. And then I just repeat the test few times to get more data points. By the way, this Milan SL is provided by Jan and the team from velomobileworld.com. They sent this to me last autumn and I can keep this through the summer, so there should be a few more Milan videos to come. Okay, the second test is 200 watts test. So this time I have 12 kilometers long road with turning point at the middle, and I try to keep the power output steady at 200 watts the whole time, and then see how fast this thing goes with that power. During this test I've previously had only one camera mounted, so same thing this time. By riding the same road in both directions, it should cancel out the effect of wind. Also the turning spot is slightly higher than the starting point, so the elevation difference should cancel out as well. Or at least I think so. And here's the turning point. It's not optimal to have this kind of turning point, but well, this is what we have to deal with now. By the way, the road is in much worse condition than for example during my first test few years ago with the Quest. This unfortunately increases the rolling resistance for the Milan. I don't know if these are very good tests, but these are the tests I have to do if I want to compare the results to my old tests with Quest and Quattrovelo. But there are so many variables which might have changed between my tests, because for example I tested the Quest many years ago. So many things might have been different back then, like for example the wind speed, direction, temperature, humidity and the road conditions which I already mentioned. Also I guess that all Velomobiles had different tires, so yeah, I don't know how comparable these tests are. So yeah, not very scientific. Still waiting for the results? If so, please click the like button while you wait. It's super helpful and it doesn't take long to click. Also you can click the thanks button if you feel that you want to send me some money. But now, let's see the results. Okay, so first let's look at the 45 km/h test results. I made total of 5 runs. This last one is a bit different, so it's excluded for now. So the average power for the first 4 runs was 149.5 watts. But for some reason I did struggle to keep the speed at 45, so the average speed was too high for all the runs, almost 47 km/h. Then I made one more run just for fun without the cameras, and my average speed was more than 10 watts less than with the cameras. So yes, these cameras really are ruining the aerodynamics. Now if we compare these results to my previous results with Quest and Quattrovelo, we can see that Quattro needs quite a lot of more power to maintain the speed at 45, while Quest and Milan are actually pretty close to each other. Quest actually needs less power according to my test, but the average speed of Milan was way too high, so I have to say that these results are uncomparable. Too bad I don't have time to redo these tests. But why did I have so much higher average speed? I'm not quite sure. The only reason I could think of is that my speedometer was showing the wrong speed for some reason. And I think the reason is that the speed sensor, which is by the way located at the rear wheel hub, doesn't have good enough connection with the head unit. This one is a Wahoo sensor operating over Bluetooth. Previously I've been using Garmin speed sensor, which is by the way mounted to the Voyager right now. That one works over ANT+, which seems to be more reliable connection. Look at this. Here I put another speedometer on the screen. This one here on the right side is the speed from the Wahoo speed sensor. This is the speed I'm seeing on my Wahoo head unit. This other speed is calculated 2D speed, so it's based on the GPS location, so it's basically the GPS speed. See the difference? The actual speed is higher than the speed shown by my head unit. So that must be the reason why the average speed was so much higher. I just didn't see reliable speed data while riding. Actually the sensor speed shown by the bike computer felt quite erratic sometimes. So what we can learn from this? Well, use ANT+ sensors. Those seem to be more reliable than Bluetooth sensors if the signal must travel through carbon fiber. Okay, now let's jump to the 200 watts test. So to ride this 12 km road with average power of 200 watts took 18 minutes and 8 seconds with average speed of 41.8 km/h. Now if we compare these to my previous tests with other Velomobiles, we can see that this time the average power is pretty much spot on. So now we can actually try to compare these results because at least one variable isn't different. But anyway, here we can see that the Milan actually is faster than the Quest, but I have to point out that first of all, the Quest had footholes open. By closing the footholes, the Quest would be even faster than this. Also, the Quest had wide tires, which works better on this kind of rough road, and the road wasn't actually quite this bad back then when I made the test run with the Quest. So I don't know if we can compare these results after all. I'm sorry these tests are so bad that it's so difficult to compare these results, and it seems that it gets worse every time I make new tests. There are so many variables which I can't control because there might be years between the tests, but I just don't have time and resources to make proper tests with multiple different Velmobile models at the same time. But you can help with the resources part if you just keep clicking the like button and the thanks button and keep buying this kind of stuff from my webshop. But anyway, here's one test which has vaguely reliable results. I tried to figure out if using wheel covers on Quest Velmobile will make it faster. So the margin of error was larger than the difference in the results. So yeah, there's that. But okay, I think that's all for today. Thanks for watching this one and see you next time. Bye bye.